Recently, GDevelop made this video claiming that
GDevelop is now the first no-code open source game engine to exist on mobile devices.
Am I a joke to you?
So initially I was going to make a video comparing GDevelop's new mobile game engine with Construct 3's apparently non-existent mobile version that I've been using for like 9 months. So I was attempting to make the same game in both engines using a guest account on each engine so as not to be like biased one way or the other. However, having never used GDevelop before, things went horribly wrong and I spent probably 20 minutes on this game and never even was able to make like a real line of code. I couldn't even use the tutorial properly because this little thing at the bottom keeps covering up the thing that I actually need to click. I need to press that little purple square, but every time I go over to it, the prompt covers it up. I will cut them some slack though because they are
now the first no-code open source game engine to exist on mobile devices.
With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and make a game in Construct 3. Thinking about it, I think GDevelop has me on like a technicality here because I don't think Construct 3 is open source, and maybe that's a good thing. Anywho, I went with a space shooter, if that's like a real genre. I had always kind of wanted to make one, and since I was going to be making all the art, I thought this would be a fun time to try out some stuff with it. I went ahead and got a background in place. I would normally have it be like a scrolling background, but I had something way more complicated in mind. The first object I made was a little spaceship that would be our player character. I was working with a new palette I hadn't used before off of a low spec. I think it's got some really good colors and it's pretty limiting, which is nice. And here's the semi-finished product. I like it. I think it works. Made some simple arrow buttons for the UI. Put them in the game and I think they look pretty good. For the enemy, I just made this kind of like stereotypical UFO, which I mean, it's pretty mid, but I think this color palette really like makes it pop. This was the point where I realized like how limiting it actually was, and I loved it because I had to make it like a yellow for the accents, and there were just a lot of little things like that that I think made it look a lot more interesting, to say the least. Made another button so you could shoot your weapon. Made a health bar, which I think looks pretty neat. See? Told you. Now came time for the part I was nervous about. Being that I was using a guest account instead of logged in, I had 25 events, and something I learned right here while I was trying to make everything nice and neat is that a group counts as an event. So it's gonna be messy. But I mean, there's only 25 events, so I can't really like do too much damage with that. And this was such a cool challenge for me because the first few games I made were actually with a guest account. And then even after that, I had like just the regular free account, which allowed me like 40 events or something. You know, back in the day before I was a big time YouTube game developer. No, I'm just playing. But for real, it was a lot of fun. Oh, and by the way, in the last video, I said something about being like over 200 subscribers, which is really cool. And since that video, we're at like 300 and something or another, which is just super neat. So thank you guys. Y'all rock. So at this point, I'm trying to get the player movement working, which initial tests proved to be less than ideal. No need to fear though, we got that working. I added in the ability to shoot, which actually looks really cool. That's fun. I made the bullets actually do something. Oh yeah, and I had added in these little star things. There's only one at the moment, but yeah, they're pretty cool. I added in some pickups. There's health, a thing to increase bullet speed, which was hard to convey, and then a regular old speed boost. I was starting to get pretty concerned about running out of events to do all this stuff. I have 15 left. I still needed to add in pickups, a scoring system, which I am notoriously bad at. Like, I got negative 1,500 points playing one of my games before. And then I also wanted the enemies to speed up over time, which wildly enough, I end up figuring that out in like one event. Yeah, right now I'm setting up the pickups, which is pretty easy. Just every random amount of time here, apparently between 3 and 10 seconds. The system will choose a number between 0 and 4. 0 and 4 won't do anything, but 1 through 3 are the pickups, which I didn't really like adding this in. Like, I love the pickup mechanic, but I didn't like that it cost me like 5 events to get this done. I spent a little while test playing and trying to figure out why they weren't spawning, only to come to the realization that they were indeed spawning. They just weren't falling because I forgot to tell them to. One thing that's cool is I can do a lot of stuff in one event. Like the every tick event, anything that needs to happen every tick can just fall under that event. And now they work, which is awesome. I made it to where everything else starts spawning in at random intervals. The stars, the UFOs. Oh yeah, I didn't go into much detail about the stars earlier, but they're actually really cool. They each have 3 instance variables: speed, spin, and size. Upon being created, each of those variables get a random number, and every tick they spin and fall at whatever rate is set according to their instance variable. With that, the main gameplay loop is set, and I had a lot of fun test playing it, so that's a good sign. I put in a little text box for the score, and I got the health bar working. And I played through for quite some time to make sure that all the systems work, and here's like a little time lapse. Obviously everything's moving a lot quicker now, so that's really cool. In my test playing, I noticed I missed the buttons a lot, and so to fix that, I just made all of their hitboxes like way bigger, which is pretty easy to do. You just like increase the canvas size and then set the hitbox to the bounding box or whatever it is. After fixing that and getting the scoring system working, the game was a lot more fun to play. It is really easy. You can just shoot forever, but you know, if you play it the right way, it's actually pretty fun, which obviously I did not play it the right way. Now it's time for that sweet, sweet player feedback. Oh yeah, we got screen shake now. And I know what you're thinking, screen shake's cool and all, but what about particles? Well, let me tell you something. We got more particles than you could shake a stick at. We got pickup particles, we got alien particles, we got smoke and fire particles coming out of the back of the ship. Our little starticles got particles. We got particles you could write articles about. Alright, I've exhausted everything I could rhyme with particles. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I like the way this game came out. And look, I know I was dogging G-Develop pretty hard earlier, but to be honest, I know they're a good company and a respectable game engine, and it's really cool that they were able to put out an app that actually works as a game engine. It might be a little rough around the edges at the moment, but I've still got it downloaded on my phone. I'm gonna go through some tutorials, and I do want to learn it a little bit, because it seems really cool, and I think it could be a great tool for mobile developers like myself. Alright, enough with the sentimental stuff. Thank y'all. Bye.